All right, the big news today out of Sanford, Florida, the jury has started deliberating in the murder trial of Neighborhood Watch volunteer George Zimmerman. He's accused of killing Trayvon Martin. Zimmerman shot and killed 17-year-old Martin last year. He's charged with second-degree murder, and he has pleaded not guilty, saying that he acted in self-defense. But the jury is also allowed to consider manslaughter in this case. A conviction on either count could mean life in prison for Zimmerman. A defense lawyer from our area, Enrique Latoison, joins us live now to weigh in on this trial, and Enrique is in our Digital Operations Center. Enrique, thanks for being here this evening.
Thank you.
All right, so first of all, there are no eyewitnesses to what happened there in Sanford on that night. So what are jurors really relying on to decide if Zimmerman is guilty?
Well, they're going to have to rely on the physical evidence. I mean, there was pictures of Mr. Zimmerman's injuries. They're definitely going to pay close attention to the actual words of Mr. Zimmerman. You have to remember he did give taped confessions to the investigators in this case. There also was a prosecution witness, which the defense was really happy about, that testified that Trayvon Martin was on top of Zimmerman, draining down MMA blows. So they're going to rely on all those things.
All right, now let's talk about some of the antics, the showmanship we saw in the courtroom there today, Enrique. During those closing arguments, we had the defense attorney coming in with this piece of concrete and putting it in front of the jury and insinuating that that was a weapon, that Martin was indeed armed that night, because he alleges, of course, that Martin used that to bash Zimmerman in the head. Does the jury buy into this, or is this just seen as more of a part of the show?
Well, I mean, the prosecution in this case also took 3 hours to do their closing. So maybe the defense felt they needed to match the same amount of time. 3 hours is a long time to keep a jury's attention. I think we all agree, though, if you're going to spend 3 hours talking to a jury, it's better to be dramatic and a lot of drama than to show them slides for 3 hours and bore them to death.
It's certainly a lot of drama with him pausing for 4 minutes to imply that that's the amount of time that Martin could have ran home instead of engaging in what happened that night. Now, Zimmerman's attorneys are obviously trying to show that he acted in self-defense. Have they accomplished that goal?
Well, you have to remember, it's the prosecution's burden to prove that George Zimmerman did not reasonably believe that he was in imminent danger of serious bodily injury or death. And the prosecution's own closing cannot exactly tell the jury exactly what happened. And if you follow that theory, if the prosecution doesn't know exactly what happened, that's reasonable doubt. So it would not be surprising if the jury, if they follow their oath exactly to the letter of the law, that they acquit in this case.
Last question here real quick. We're dealing with a jury of 6. Does that mean, do you expect a quicker verdict in this case?
I mean, yes, definitely. I think 6 is going to be a lot easier to agree than 12. And you know, I think in this case you are going to have a much quicker verdict. I also think at this point, 3-hour closing by the prosecution, 3-hour closing by the defense, I think they've heard everything they need to hear, and they're going to be coming to a pretty quick decision in this case.
And we wait for that verdict now. Enrique Latoison, defense lawyer from this area, thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me.